Welcome back. Today is a great day because I get to show you what I've been working on for weeks. My secret weapon for all my guitar tones, the Zen Box. I can't tell you how happy I am that this thing exists and it's out in the world thanks to Canvas Audio and Sam from Canvas. This is such an incredible amp. I've been using it for weeks now. I haven't been able to put it in videos. I've been telling my editors to cut it out. I wanted it to be a secret until it came out, which is today. To sum it up quickly, this is a bright, gritty, aggressive, perfect sounding amp sim with a couple different cabs, a couple different pedals. We're gonna go through all of that, but also we're gonna create the presets together today so that you can see how it sounds on a bunch of different applications. But honestly, this is the last amp plugin I'm ever gonna have to frickin' buy. I've been using it. I get messages all the time about my guitar tone and how I get there. Well, this is freaking it. So let's dive into it. So just opening it up, I'm running a Fender Telecaster with a single coil pickup in it, and it's in some open tuning. This is how the amp sounds. So it just sounds great. Perfect for a songwriting tone right when you open it up. Everything at 5 and without the bright cap on, just on my standard orange cab that I love to use on everything with V30 speakers in it. Just perfect for songwriting. So I guess the most important thing that I should go through before we start building some presets is all the parameters that you have available in the Zen Box. So when you open it up, this is how it looks. You have your input, you have your output. So if you're not getting enough gain for some reason, you can always push the input a little harder to get more gain. But you also have, let's bring this back down to zero, near zero. But you also have a noise gate that we worked on and made sure that it works and it doesn't have any weird clipping or clicking when you cut out, like a lot of amp sims do. Honestly, the only good one that I've ever found has been through Amplitude, but this is a great gate. It just works. It feels like an NS2 Boss noise suppressor, just running and cutting real nice. And then we have our on-off. So if you want to get your DI signal but still use the cabs or the effects, then you can. And then we have our main gain tone. Obviously, you can get cleaner tones by rolling it down. And then it can break up and get super gritty if you push it. Right? And then you have your low, your mids, and your highs. Which, for this amp, I push the highs pretty high. And then you have your bright cap to get even more highs. Right? It sounds sick. And then we have multiple cabs. The next cab, I'm gonna pull down the gain so we could really hear what these things are doing, is a tweed cab for more clean tones. So if you want that title fight tone, or maybe just like an intro for a song or a bridge that's super chill. And then we have another cab that Sam threw in, this black cab here. And as you see on the bottom, when you're switching cabs, it changes color so that you know what cab you're on. This one's really cool for bigger rock stuff, I've noticed. So if I push bright cap and the gain a bunch, maybe pull back a little bit of the highs, maybe boost some of the lows. Still gritting out, but giving you a little bit more gain. And then the last cab, we have this white cab. Just a little bit of a different flavor. Honestly, I've used all these cabs on different productions all the time. Sometimes I'll run a left and a right guitar and have the orange cab on one and then have the black cab on the other. And then the leads are on the white cab, just to give it a little bit of variation throughout your amp sims. But all of them sound great. They all react like a real amp. They feel like they woof back and forth. And it sounds freaking awesome. So let's run back to the orange cab real quick, because to me, the orange cab is something that's mixable and sculptable. It's kind of not too bright. It doesn't have extra grit in it or anything. It feels very round and nice. But we can push the highs if we want it to bite, right? But that's my tone, man. That is on every single production I've ever done. So the other part we have is the effects page. So if you click here, it'll toggle that page, and if you want to go back to the amp, you just click it again. And we have 2 effects and a drive pedal. I love this drive pedal. It's like a tube screamer. So when you push the tone up and the level all the way down, you get nice, tight palm mutes. On, off. And you can even push it a little harder if you want. Let's push some of the gain so you can see how much grit you get out of this. So it can freaking rip. It can even play Eruption by Eddie Van Halen. Shout out my dad, he loved Eddie Van Halen. Hell yeah, I wish he was around to see this. He would probably actually play guitar again and use it. And then let's go back to the clean tone. Right, pull down some of the gain here. Pull down the gate a little bit. Let's go to the middle pickup so I can really show off these next pedals. Back to the effects page, and we have a chorus. And we can pull down the rate, give it more of like a turnover style sort of a thing. Let's go to the clean cab. Turn down the gain a little bit. Go up to the neck pickup. Let's pull down the rate a little bit more. And then you also have your mix knob to blend it into taste. Beautiful sounding chorus. Really cool for leads too, like if you want to push gain and then turn the rate up and do this sort of punk thing. Really cool, like on a snotty punk track. And then we have a phaser. Here it is, just stock. Super warbly and weird. Let's turn down the rate, which honestly will be really cool. You don't have to just use this amp on guitars. You could throw it on drums for like that Travis Barker drum fill, sort of flanger effect, phaser effect. You can do something like that. So you can boost the tone, brighten it up a little bit, turn down the mix knob. And then if you want like an intro to a song, and go back to our orange cab, boost some of this phaser, turn down the tone a little bit. And then kick it into a big slamming thing and switch the tone. So other than those main parameters, you have an oversampling if you want to get something a little more hi-fi. You can also access the manual if you need to by clicking the frickin' lightning bolt. All right, so with that being said, let's build some presets. I grew up playing on crate amps and then switching to an orange and then a Marshall and then figuring out what I really love out of guitar tones to build this plugin. And today it should hit all the parameters that I needed to hit when I make a production. So I'm gonna build as many presets as I can that I would use on the daily. And when you get the plugin, it'll have all my presets, so you can just click one, load it in, and start creating, which is what it's all about. Let's build a standard tone for when you open it up, it just rips. Push the mids a smidge more, push the highs a smidge more. That feels great to me. Depending on what guitar you're using and how hot your input is, you might want to mess with the in and also the gain when you pull it up. I have my input usually running pretty low, but this should sound really freaking good. Let's save a preset. We're gonna call this the Zen tone for your mom. That's what it's called now. All right, so that's one saved. It sounds good when you palm mute, but let's make a tone with a version of that with the tube screamer just touching it a little bit. For when you get to maybe a faster tempo song. Maybe we'll pull the tone down a smidge. Yeah, buddy. Let's push the level a little bit more so I can get some more bite in there. So we're gonna save this one, new preset. Your mom loves this one, and save it. Beautiful. Let's try some other cabs real quick while we're on this sort of general setting. We'll use that for the cleaner tone, but here we go. That sounds cool. We just gotta fuzz it out a little bit more. Pull down some of the highs there. Let's check out the tube screamer. Maybe pull the tone all the way down. Yeah, super soaky tone. Now I think I can pull back some of the highs. Rips, more mids. Little less mids, a little more low end so we can make it a little poofier. That's sick, man. Let's just push the gain, see what we can get out of it. A little more gain. Perfect. New preset, fat guy chugging, because that's what I am, just a fat guy chugging. And that's a preset for my McDonald's loving friends just like me. Check out the next cab. A little more bitey, a little more gritty, and that inspires me to make a faster sort of punk song. Gonna pull down the gain a little bit. Let's see if we can get just a little bit more bite out of it with the tube screamer. That's like a perfect, gritty, angry punk tone. Let's name it, You're Grounded. That's what you play once your parents say you're grounded and you go in your room and you scream into your pillow. And you go, I'm just gonna play really angry riffs in my room. Let's do a version of that for an intro of a song. All right, so we pull down the highs a little bit. It's perfect. Maybe let's just push the lows a little bit, pull down the highs and the mids a smidge more. Sounds great. Okay, so we're gonna name this preset. I think I can beat up my 5th grade teacher now. That's a cool preset, man. And then we have another feature, cab, completely off punk mode. If we turn off the phaser and we turn off the drive, all we're gonna get is the most gnarly, bright, attacking punk mode guitar. So we gotta dial it in so that it doesn't blow out people's speakers or their ears. So we'll turn down the highs, turn off the bright cap. Really cool if you use like live drum sounds, no samples on the drums, and you keep it raw and gritty, and then you throw this tone on. Perfect for just like a spitty DIY sounding type of a band. So we're gonna save this preset, new preset. Let's call it You Owe Me 100 Bucks. There we go. So let's get into some emo stuff. I wanna switch over to this tweed cab and we're gonna pull down the gain. Let's get freaking real for a second. I spent my whole life grinding, trying to make music a full-time thing. Finally, it is. I've lost relationships, I've lost family, I've missed out on a lot to be able to get to this point to create this plugin in this tone. I wanna make sure the presets reflect correctly how I was feeling throughout my whole life. And these tones really do invoke a feeling of struggle and persistence and the love of the game, you know? So here we're on the tweed cab. I brought everything back to 5 and we're back to our middle tone. I want to do one with it on the bridge pickup because I think most people are going to be sitting there with their guitars on their bridge pickup. It's a good storytelling feeling riff. We're going to pull down some of the highs. Pull down the gain just a smidge. Boost some of the lows, not too much. That feels like you're about to spill your guts. So new preset, spill your guts out. Beautiful, it'll sound good on any pickup. This tone is just not gonna get in the way of the guitar. Let's get a version of this with a little bit of chorus on it. We're gonna call this Move Out of the Way, Gonna Barf. I think it's kind of funny that I'm not naming these tones like chorus, clean tone, because honestly, I want you to be able to click any preset because you think the name sounds interesting and it's gonna inspire you to build a song based around that tone, which is what I do all the time. You know, that's why I have all these random pedals, because sometimes I just like to hit a button and see what it inspires that day. That's what this plugin is. It does obviously sound good and it is pro level and mix ready, but what it is at the core is something that doesn't get in the way of your songwriting and what you're trying to create. It just gets you to the point of just sounding good. You don't have to worry about miking. You don't have to worry about setting the levels. You don't have to worry about the distance of the mic from the cab, or if you have a blown out tube or whatever. It just sounds freaking good. Check out some of these other cabs, see if we can get an emo tone going. Get a little bit of grit on this guy. Brighten it up on the back end. Bright cap on, push the mids, pull down the low. You know what, let's turn off this tube screamer here. So this is gonna be cool for any sort of like Will You Be, Citizen, Run for Cover sounding sort of a riff. Maybe just pull down the gain a smidge more. That way if you play harder, you can get more gain, but it's not forced in there. Sort of feels like a movements tone or something like that. We're gonna call this Cool Guy Core, because that's what it is. Check out the effects page, chorus. Give it a little bit of wobble. Let's try a different cab. Pull down some of the highs here. Let's push the mix knob on the chorus a little bit more. That's perfect. We're gonna call this new preset. My go-kart. Is go-karts with a K? Is that the only way you spell kart with a K? Don't judge me. My go-kart's wheel just fell off. You're sitting on the side of the road, your tires pop, your go-kart fell apart, and then all you do is you sit there and you play this riff. And wait for your older brother to come pick you up. And then when he finally grabs you, he switches the preset to Fat Chugging Guy. You get in his truck and he plays this riff. And everything feels better. Let's build like a modern pop punk lead tone. Sick. Save it as a new preset, 2-step lead in pop punk mode. This is more like dirt bike rock. Like when you open up a dirt bike video game, this is the first riff you hear. Press start. Actually, let's brighten it up just a smidge. A little bit more. There we go. Save new preset. We're gonna call this dirt bike video game. Dude, all of these, when you open it up, you're gonna get a song out of it. All right, let's build one with the phaser. Turn down the gain a little bit. Brighten it up a little bit. Pull down the lows. That's gonna be awesome for emo lead. New preset, emo screamo, drop me off at the mall. Maybe we'll just call it drop me off at the mall. And then the next tone has to be, we're at the mall hanging out. So let me go back to the orange tab, turn off this, get that there, turn this down a little bit, push some of the gain. All right, yeah, we need to be at the frickin' mall. So push this up, let's turn down the tone, turn up the gain, scoop some of the mids. There it is, push some of the highs again. Yeah, new preset, smoking cigs outside the mall, smoking cigs at the mall, right? Because you need to be dropped off at the mall first, and then you're gonna be smoking cigarettes at the mall. You know, I feel like I need to create one that's a little bit safer. Let's just boost these guys and go back to the effects. Maybe turn this off. Just like when you open it up, you know you can go to this tone, and you know you're gonna get just like the perfect rock tone, pop punk, emo, sort of gritty, attacking tone. I mean, that's it, but see if I can really dial this one in. Pull down the highs. Now that my ears are warmed up and I'm really in the thick of it. Maybe we'll get a little bit more brightness out of it, because if I think about the cymbals and the snare and things getting in the way of it, this will help. It's perfect. We're gonna call this main guy left. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the black cab that I really love. And we're gonna call this main guy right. New preset, main guy right. So you can put one tone on one ear, one on the other, and double track it, and it'll feel like this huge wall of sound because they're slightly different on each ear. And then we should probably just make a normal main guy. So let's go back to the orange cab, push the mids just a little bit so it's a little bitier and a little more push. That way if you wanna just jam, you can. And we'll call this new preset, I'm PETEXZEN. So when you open up, hey, I'm PETEXZEN. That's my tone. Let's get 2 more wacky sounding tones. So we need an ass beater tone. You know we do. So let's go turn up the level of the drive. Push it a little bit more. Pretty sick. Push the mids a little more. That's an ass beater tone. New preset, ass with 2 cash cymbal beater. And then we just need one more sort of goofy tone. I like the idea of making a super like mellow, party sounding tone. This is like a guy outside your house playing a riff. See if I can make it a little bit more usable by boosting the tone. There it is. So we're gonna save this. Guy next door hates me. All right, so there are 20 beautiful tones that you can use on a song. I think we should create a riff real quick. I think we should make something with it just to show the working process of it by starting with this tone. This is gonna be the riff that brings in a slammer of a song. Let's get it. There it is, and then on the other side we'll have a lead come in. Let's push this guy slightly left and then this guy slightly right. Let's find a lead that could sound good on the other side. Drop me off at the mall is probably the move. And let's throw some delay on that so it can give it a little bit of vibe. Beautiful. Turn these guys down a little bit. Man, they're loud. Cool. Let's get a drum beat here, and then I want to throw the Zen Box on the drum beat to grid it out and have it as an intro drum sort of a thing. So what I'm gonna do is print the drum bus, so I have just the audio file of that. Commit, insert, do nothing, run it. Then we're gonna delete that, and we're gonna throw, guess what? The freaking Zen Box on the drum. I'll save this preset as well. So this is how it sounds on the drums, running with the cab and the amp. It's gonna sound crazy, but honestly kind of cool. But we gotta turn the cab off here. Turn down the output. And let's get a little phaser on it. That's so sick. Turn down the rate a little bit. Okay, so with the white cab on and these EQ settings and the gain on, I think it's sounding really cool. So let's save this preset, call this plug your drums into an amp, please. Let's get 2 more of these layers, and we're gonna pick a tone for the main slamming rhythm tone. Something kind of poofy and big. So let's maybe dial one in from the fat chugging guy. Maybe just push the tone a little bit more so it bites. Push the level a little bit more. All right, let's do the left side first. Here we go. Do the other side. Heavy. See, I love how the high end in this plugin actually feels real, and it doesn't just feel like fizz. Like a lot of the other amp tones out there, I feel like it feels a lot more real, and you're not forcing this fake high thing. It just already has it built in. So let's get a bass tone going. All right, let's dial it in. There it is. You can get a little bit of grit out of a 2-screamer. Let's just take out some of the mids, boost some of the lows because it's bass. Sounds good, man. All right, save this. New preset, main bass. We'll call this bass is underrated. Does underrated have 2 R's? It does, but that's fine. I like that it's misspelled. Here we go. You know what? Let's do 1 more layer of only low in that bass guitar so that I can have a layer of like sort of sub bass if you ever have a part that where you don't want the bass to clank. There it is. So you can blend that into taste and build out your low end. And we'll call this new preset, bass low end only. Let's get some leads on this. Let's go to our cool guy tone. And then I'm gonna have to figure out that second half, but let's double that real quick. That's a Dragon Ball Z tone and riff if I've ever heard one. All right, let's see if I can hit this other side in one shot. Let's go! I still got it. Let's just do some ring outs on the other side. And 1 more. And then I also got to hit the bass and the drums. Let me just add a couple things on the post-production real quick, and then I want to do the biggest scream in the entire universe. All right, let's throw that on there. And you know what? We're gonna throw the Zen Box on it. Let's see if we can just dial it in a little bit, tighten it up. Cool. We're gonna say, throw this on perks, I guess. Ah, sick. And then we just need an impact. Boom. We need something. And there it is. Godzilla has landed on planet Earth, and this is the riff he's playing. Cool, just gonna throw a trim on the master bus and some clipping, everything. We'll do like -3. Then we'll just throw an API compressor on it to balance it all out. All right, so you've seen the amp, I've made the presets, I made a sick riff. The only thing left to do is to scream one long note to celebrate the release of my new amp, Zen Box by Canvas Audio. Please go pick it up. It should be on sale for $69.69 or something like that. I begged and pleaded for that. So we'll see if that's what it's up for, whether or not that's a sale price or not. Please pick it up. With that being said, here's the riff. And real quick before I run this, I really appreciate all the new subscribers and the new viewers on the channel. This has been a dream of mine since I was a kid, along with this plugin, just to have a YouTube channel and have fun and create me for a living and have like-minded people watch it and hopefully learn from it. I really do appreciate you guys watching. I'm working on a record. It'll be out. I have more videos coming out. If you're not subscribed yet, quit being a creep in the corner of your room watching my videos not subscribed. Subscribe and check out the Zen Box. Here we go.